Flory Models, I'm Flory. What a week. Well, we had our first annual, never to be repeated again, Flory Models barbecue. No, we probably will have another one. To be honest, it was a bit of a washout. The weather has been fantastic here in the UK, and apart from the odd little shower, I've counted 7 weeks of no rain here where we are in the southwest. Consequently, sod of law, quite frankly, it heaved it down 2 days before, and then we thought might get away with it. Unfortunately we didn't. Saturday was lovely. Sunday absolutely threw it down, apart from we had a 1 hour break when we ate food, okay, and had the barbecue literally underneath cover in the carport and all around the house. 26 of us, but we had a great time. Lovely to meet everybody. It was nice to meet your partners and everyone else, just to prove we're not all total geeks, okay, and everything. Hope you had a lovely time, everybody, but we will have another one, but this time we will make sure we've got proper nice weather for it so we can all get outside instead of being sort of, you know, strewn across the house in various rooms and everything else like that. But we had a fantastic time. I must thank, obviously, Lynn was a little star and John helped out as well. Got to thank Steve and Gordon, who made the long trip south from up in the Midlands, who came down. They came down on Saturday, had a meal with them Saturday night, and then obviously Sunday. It was great to meet you all, as I said. We had a lot of laughs and everything else like that. We will get another one sorted very soon. And also the members' meets will go back to being the first Sunday of every month, and they will continue onward right the way through the autumn and everything else like that. On the Monday, we went with Steve and Gordon and myself, went over to the Bovington Tank Museum here in the UK, which I do believe is got to be the world's largest collection of armour and has the only running Tiger tank as well. Great day out by there. Must thank Steve Malley, who happens to work there and also one of our members, and got us behind the scenes and all the bits and pieces, and we even got to play soldiers for the day. And me running around with an RPG in front of a crowd at the back of an armoured personnel carrier. Well, what more can you ask for? We had a fantastic time. Weather again, absolutely horrendous. Coming home through the floods and everything else. Good job we got a 4x4. And Stephen Gordon then had to travel all the way for a nice 7-hour drive north after that as well. So a fantastic day was had by all.
We have the electric. stick his head up a bit, but I can't
So there you go. If you haven't been there, I would recommend it. It's £12.50 to get in, and that will give you then access for 12 months as well. You can go back at any time unless they've got one of their special driving days on and things like that. But it's one of those things where you need a full day to go around that place. Just to try and do it in an afternoon or a morning really isn't going to cut it. But it's just so much to see, and I have to say the staff are all particularly nice there. So brilliant. Anyway, Tuesday came along and, well, chaos reigned because we had 137,000 sanding sticks turn up, so the rest of the order came through and everything else. Sorry if you did have the delay getting your orders out, they are all totally up to date now. It's just that obviously we had some of the range didn't turn up and it came on the second batch which turned up Tuesday, so we managed, they all went out Tuesday. I did them right there and then. Now we do the set, which is quick advertising, but what we've actually got here is a 10 pack of the 2s of all the skinny range. Okay, so what we've got here, you've got a this one here, which is your standard skinny sanding sponges, okay, which are around about 240 grit, same size. We've got the polisher then, which is, it's 300 grit by, I think it's about 1200 on the back here. It's very, very fine. Great for polishing out anything really. Okay, then we've got our skinny range. So we've got the new green cord ones now. Okay, so down there, that's your fine ones. They tend to be around about 400 grit on that one. Then you've got your medium, which is with the nice blue core. Okay, grit wise, I've got to remember now, that is, I think it's around about just trying to think here, I think it's around about 280 by 180, something like that, something like around that area. And then we've got a coarse one. Sorry, we've got this slightly wrong. We want that one down there, which is blue. And then we've got the coarse one, which is white. Okay, and that's pretty strong. It's about 100 by 120 on that one, all right? So there we go. That's our new skinny stick range. It comes as a little pack. It's £4.95, and you can have it like that. But now, at least, when they're on your bench just like this, you can see by looking at it, you pick it up, the green is the fine, the blue is the medium, and if it's white cord, then you know it is the coarse one, and you can just see it at a glance. And to be honest, that is why I have never done a set before. I know loads of you have asked to do, why do you have to buy them in sets like it? Purely because you can't tell them apart. All right, but now we've bitten the bullet, we're costing us a bit more, and we're going for coloured inserts into them. So now you can see exactly what they are. So there we go, the new skinny stick range, 10 in a pack, £4.95. Or you can still do the other deals as well, where you basically get a bag free if you buy the set of 4 for 15 and various things. Anyway, next up after that, I cracked on with the Phantom. Really been pushing on with this. Most of the guys who were here on Sunday knew I finished it last week anyway. I just had to play with a few little bits and pieces on here. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen the little video we did. Sorry, my little top mirror, PVA glue. Did the video, there's free, it was like a teaser for this one, so if you're not a member, you can go and see the teaser of this one. It's up on YouTube, and it's also, if you go to the Facebook page, it's linked in through there and everything else, and it is on our site as well, so if you haven't seen it, you can go and see this one. Great build, this one. As I say, part 10 I think went up Tuesday, Wednesday time, and this is part 11, which completes us and brings us up to date, which is up to date here on Friday. I've got to say, very, very impressed. If you watch the final reveal, I put it up against this one. This is the old Hasegawa one, which we did here as well as a video build, and that's got all the extras on it. So that's got photo etch, it's got resin parts, it's got intake covers, it's got everything on that one. Anything that's an aftermarket is on there. This one is completely out of the box. Now, I know there's a lot of people and there's a lot of thing online about them. This is a lot better. There's no way about it. I know you get your die-hard fans who love it. Let's face it, at the end of the day, this is the only B version that you don't have to rescribe, because Hasegawa do it, which is lovely, and I've done it before, but you do have to rescribe the damn thing, and that to me is, oh, nightmare. So consequently, if you want to be, this is the way to go. I do a side-by-side comparison, but briefly, what I basically do is put them next to each other and we go through the kit, and as you can see, the detail on the wings, the panel lining, the riveting is 1,000 times better than the Hasegawa one. Don't get me wrong, it's a lovely kit, and I have built hundreds of those, almost literally. Okay, and I got no problems with the kit at all. It's a really quick kit. I've actually built one of those and painted and deckled and had it out the door in under 24 hours. It's that good a kit. It gives you no problem at all. But it's a little bit basic, and when you put this one next to it, it's a lot better. This one isn't perfect by any means. The intakes are absolutely horrible. This way they do of trying to layer them together in the back to give you a seamless look just doesn't work. Tamiya have tried it on their 30-second kits. Don't particularly like it. So my only gripe would be, if you want to, I would stick a seamless set on here. Now I haven't tried it, I don't know how they fit and everything else, but it gives you that nice depth of scale and everything else. Or you can do like we did here on the Hasegawa one, just stick some FOD covers on the front and kill that problem off totally. We did this in flight. Originally I was going to put a refueling basket on the front. Got a little idea, which I explained about it, which I will talk about later on as we progress with it. But this is going to be part of a diorama, an in-flight diorama and things like that. So I'm not going to have it as a refueling. I'm going to leave the probe out though because it looks kind of cool. But needless to say, if you are thinking about it, go and get this kit. You got all those optional extras that go with it, and because of all the weapons you get and sidewinders and all the bits and pieces, it's a great thing for your spares box because you're not going to use them all, but it really, really is nice. I hope you like it anyway. It's nice to do a nice in-flight one. I'm really sort of getting the bug for doing everything in flight, and I know I shouldn't. I should get them back on the ground and everything, but being aircraft, it's where they belong, up in the air, and the Phantom is one of those jets that just looks right in the air. Doesn't look particularly nice and beautiful on the ground with its gear down, but it looks fantastic when it's up and flying and everything else. Weathering, probably a little bit overdone, but as I explained in the videos, I sort of trying to show you everything, and when you're on a roll it's really hard to stop. But I know I've had a lot of feedback and a lot of guys said, no, I love it, I love the weathering and everything else. Personally, I think I've overcooked it a little bit, but you know, there again, it's personal choice and everything else. So that will complete that build now. That one is now done, which means we can crack on now with our F117, which you can see had its base coat on now almost 2 weeks ago and hasn't moved forward any further since. So we're going to have to give it a dust and everything else and get back on track with this one. But this is my mission for next week. We'll have this one finished off by the end of next week. Then we're going to start on this particular little lady, which is the Hawk, which has just had a quick coat of black sides on lying around just to look at seams and everything else like that and make sure we're all okay. This is going to be done in gloss work, so it's going to be a standalone video. It's not about the build because we've already covered this with the Red Arrows Hawk. This one's just going to be about giving a gloss finish and how to get a nice deep, lustful gloss look to your actual paintwork as you make your way through. So that will be a standalone one, probably be a two-parter, or I might just bang up the site in one, but we'll just see how we go with that one. Then I can get on with everything we want to do. So yes, we have got the Tamiya Corsair. I know a lot of people have been asking about that one. I will be pushing on with that one right after I've started the others. I'm going to start the tank next, which is the Merkava, the Israeli one. Beautiful looking tank, so we're going to be starting on that. And I'm going to be starting on the ship as well. As I said, ship is a big project which is going to live on this side of the bench, so we'll be filming all on that side for that one. But as you say, it's going to be a long-term project, so I can put this one through and do other things with, which if you watch some of the video builds, you'll be getting clues of things I'm going to be doing, hopefully for the Nationals for Telford this year, of having, as we said, an in-flight diorama with multiple aircraft in flight. So that's the idea with that one, is going to be part of it, and hopefully we can join on with things with it. Okay, so had a few questions this week from the old Facebook page, which needs to be taken off. Remember, everyone get onto Facebook, because the more likes we get, if I do a deal with you, okay, if we get 2,000 likes on there, I think we're around about 13.5 on there at the moment, okay, if we get up to sort of 2,000 likes, I will put up a full video build. So if you're a non-member, go and get other people to like it, and you can see all about it. And I will put one of the full video builds, one of the HD ones, not one of the old ones, one of the newer ones up onto Facebook, so you can watch it directly on there. So well worth getting that one up. And then as we get to 3,000, I'll put up another one, okay, and we can work our way on. So, but as you said, it's a great way of keeping in touch. I know a lot of you are, the members have joined it, but I think, if we only got 1,300, there's still around about 2,000 of you who haven't who are members, who haven't been on there. Now, maybe you're not on there, but it's a great way, because what I do with the new Today page, we'll talk about in a moment, you'll see I will just poke it up there, and you can never miss a thing now on Flory Models. You just get it in your newsfeed, you can click on it, it'll take you to the site, you can see all about it and everything else like that. So, anyway, first question, air pressure. Why do you spray so high? I'm led to believe that you should be spraying around 10 to 15 psi maximum. It sounds like you must be spraying around about 30. Two things. First of all, it's not that high. I think it's the, we have a shotgun microphone which sits above me, okay, and I have it on a 90-degree angle, so it's very focused, and we don't get all the noises coming around. The trouble with that is, though, it does pick up the airbrush quite a bit. Now, we do have a little bit of software which hopefully nowadays gets rid of the noise. You don't hear the compressor as much or the airbrushing. There's a little bit of software that runs in the editing which stops that from happening. But I do spray particularly high compared to other people. This is around about my normal. Now, pressure-wise, I will just double-check down here. That is currently at 20 psi. So it might sound louder than it is, okay? Probably a bit louder today because I haven't got the software we're running on this, but I don't know. I personally, if you watch the, I think it's on the free bit of this as well, you will hear the difference. I'm only spraying at around about 10 psi, so it's probably more like that. Got a little Mac valve on the back here for adjusting the air pressure. But I do spray a lot higher. I know, obviously, members of the team, we all spray differently. Hans especially, he's a low pressure guy, okay, and he sprays extremely low pressures compared to me. Me and Jelly do tend to have the pressure up extremely high and go around blowing everything away. But it's a little bit of personal choice, because if you're in a warmer climate, as we've been recently here in the UK, I've had to thin it a little bit more than normal. It's got retarder in there, and I found I needed to lower the air pressure. If I'm working and it's quite cold, I've got the air pressure quite high because I don't have any trouble with drying paint and everything else. It takes a bit to dry, so you can do it like that. So I think also it's a little bit regional as well. Perhaps if you're in a hotter country and there's very little humidity, everything dries so quick, you're probably better off having thinner paint, lowering your air pressure. Over here, the humidity is normally around about 80%, so it doesn't dry, nothing dries particularly quickly, so consequently I can up the air pressure. The other thing as well with it, I do spray thicker paint than most people. I know most people have thinner paint than I do. I tend to have a little bit thicker. You might see in some of my videos now I even spray it neat. I don't even thin it. But then because it's thick paint, you need to up the air pressure to get it to atomise. As it's coming down that needle as thick paint, it needs to atomise to actually, put it into little bits, okay? And away you go. But, as I said, a lot of it is personal choice. When I'm teaching here, some of the guys, they have it lower than I do. Not everybody just sets it up as I do. It's what you feel comfortable with as you're spraying. I'm not sure if you're a member or not. Big thing is, go and have a look at some of the other videos I do. You'll notice, depending on what I'm spraying, tends to be the air pressure. Obviously, half-clads, thin paints, the air pressure comes right down. If I'm doing thicker paints like Tamiya's, quite thick, Model Air, things like that, it does tend to be a little bit higher as I'm spraying. So really, that's about it. Next, Indian ink. Okay, I've had a couple of ones about this. This is basically, how do you make it and why don't you use your wash? Okay, now my wash, we've had this question before. My wash is a weathering wash for quite big areas. To be honest, this thing has been done totally with a weathering wash. If you've seen it, you'll know that it had a little bit of post shading, but all of that grime on there and everything else is just the wash. The thing with it is, although it's very good and will give you a nice finish everywhere, if you're putting it around tiny little details, okay, then you're better off with a thinner type of wash, okay? Now, I use Indian ink purely because I'm cheap. Okay, Indian ink is quite expensive for what you get. It's a couple of quid a bottle and you get very little of it, unless you do what I did and buy a big thing that will last me about 10 lifetimes. But what happens is, you thin it down, okay, and because the quality of it, I also had another email and somebody said about, you say it's expensive, it's not expensive here. I think, like everything, it depends on what you buy. Now, the one that I actually have bought is made by a company called Talons, okay, and they're sort of market leaders in what they do, and to be honest, it's their pigments that go in our wash, so that's part of the reason. But the thing is, I bought a bottle of it like this, and it was about 25 quid, okay, and it's about half a litre. So it's quite expensive from that point of view, but you think I thin it down around about 90%, alright? So, if I just grab a little jar here, if I have got some, which I do believe is here, this is neat in this particular bottle, I've just decanted it. So what I actually do, I end up doing, I wouldn't recommend using water with it. I find water, it just doesn't dilute it enough. So if I just grab a clean new bottle of airbrush cleaner, okay, bit of a shake, as I said, if you were to use this on plastic, neat, where's Buster? Here he is. Sorry Buster, you're in for it again, okay? Now, come off you little git. Right, now, if you were to be doing something like this, okay, if I grab a brush, quite an old one, if you were doing a wheel well just like this one, if I do this side, because this side's slightly grimy out, and you was to put this in, as you can see, it's very, very strong, and basically what we've done is painted it black in here. Okay, now the thing with all Indian inks is they've got great capillary action and they'll zip off to all the areas and everything else like that. Now, I don't know how well the camera can see, so we're not really all up on this one. So there we go, that's in there like that. Now this will fade back and it will dry, but as you can see it's far too strong. But it's got great coverage, as you can see. So what we want to do now is just make up a little one and we just thin it down. So what we do, we just bring this out. All I do is take, literally I normally decant, so we're just going to take a couple of drops. If we do 5 brushfuls in here. Okay, that's just 5 little brushfuls in there. Then I use acrylic airbrush cleaner. The reason for using acrylic airbrush cleaner is it's got a little bit of obviously everything you need to thin this down and make it go, for want of a better word, okay? So it will help thin it, it breaks it down and everything else like that. But it's not aggressive enough, so when you start brushing it around paintwork to strip it off, because obviously if we were using thinners now or something else like that, we would have a real problem. So as you can see there, we've gone in with a good old dollop, and then what we're going to do is just give it a good mix. And when you put it on the side of the glass and everything else like that, you can see it's got great ability. There's no grittiness to it at all. Alright? So then what we'll do, we just bring this guy down here. If I drop this top cam down again, should have prepared for this really. Okay, when we come in here, you might be able to see, you can brush it around absolutely everywhere. And now we've got a situation where it's just clinging to all the raised parts and it's zipping around everywhere, giving us that nice shadowing detail without all the worries of everything else. Okay, so that's actually what we're doing now. No problem with that at all, looks really, really nice and gives exactly what you want. And also you can brush it around quite a lot, you don't have any trouble with it, it's not going to eat into your paint. Now don't get me wrong, if you keep rubbing at this, it is going to suddenly sort of burn through, but it's a great way of doing things like cockpits, wheel wells, small little tiny bits of detail. You can even use it externally on your model, so what you can actually do is just sort of come along, we've got something like this here, if we just brush this down, okay, as you see it'll track and you can use it as a pin wash. Just down on here, and then what you can do is go around in a moment and get rid of all your excess just over it. Now the thing is, it's not as easy to use as the wash that we do, because obviously this, when it dries, sticks and you cannot get rid of it. It's actually on there properly. But what you can do with that, you can come along with a cotton bud, hopefully you've got some left. Okay, and just rub away excess bits around the outside. And there we go, it gives you a sort of effect like that. But, you know, personally, I don't think it's as good as the wash externally. Internally, small little areas, I think it's absolutely wonderful stuff. I don't buy into all these other washes. And I know this is going to make me sound like a right hypocrite now, because I make a wash and I'm trying to put you off. I'm not. Okay, there's great washes out there. AK do all these new stains and everything else like that. Humbrol do them now. Tamiya do them. Everybody does a wash, and it seemed to be 10 years ago when I came out with my wash, I was the only person who ever did a wash that you could actually use. Some of them have got fancy names and various things to do, but at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is go into recesses and raise parts and cling on and give you a sort of shadowing or dirty effect to it. Now, depending how you do it. My stuff is clay based, you just brush it on, you leave it forever, just watch the clip on this one, you rub it off. If it goes wrong, you just wipe it off with water. The trouble with this stuff is, once this is dry, it doesn't come off. The trouble with all the other washes is, once they're dry, they don't come off, okay? You need to use something to get them off, so you're using a spirit or something else. Us, we just use plain water and wash it away. If you don't like any of it, just wash it away, start again. You can't do that with other people's washes. And that's why we do it. But as I said, it's personal choice. You might want to go out and buy a branded one, or you could just buy some Indian ink. You can buy Indian ink in little pots like this, little 10mm pots. It costs you a couple of quid. You could thin that and probably make 2 litres. It goes that far. You can buy various shades and colours. I tend to just use the black if I'm honest, and everything else. And if I want to, I can actually put our washes into it to make it a different colour and to give it some griminess and things like that. But as I said, it is literally just a personal choice thing. It's just the way I've always done it. I just don't sort of go with this thing of, you know, buying and spending lots of money on washes that probably you're never going to use, and you just have one that does it all. So really, that's the thing to that one. So next up, put them on there so we don't get them everywhere. Last one, any plans on building the HK B17? Love to see you do it. Okay, I've been asked this loads of times, alright? No. No, okay, probably not true. I don't see the point of doing something that big. Alright, I did mention it when I talked about doing the Heinkel, the HE111. That's a big kit. Okay, the B17 is even bigger. And they're bringing out a Lancaster, and the Lancaster is even bigger than that. And to be honest, yes, I know I've got the room now, because a lot of you have said I used the excuse last time that I haven't got the room, so there's no way I could build it when I was back in the old broom cupboard. Here, yes, I could get it on this desk and everything else. My problem is with it, once it's built, what do I do with it? Okay, we did have the meeting on Sunday at the barbecue, and some of us did say you could hang it on your wall. You could actually put some brackets and then hang it on the wall. But it is going to be a dust magnet up there. So that is the trouble with it. I don't really see the point of going over something you can't get either on a shelf or in a cabinet. Now, I know I've done some big things in the past. The Space Shuttle, which to be honest, quick update for you, I am photographing it to finish that off, okay? No, it doesn't have the base. But certainly the Space Shuttle is probably the biggest thing I have ever built, and that thing is what, 2.5 feet long, it's a foot tall. Where do you put it? Okay, good point. Luckily though, it doesn't have any fiddly bits. Dusting is quite a breeze. I've got a big old static brush, you've all seen it before. I just give it a brush, job done once a week. Something like, you know, when you're dealing with a Lancaster or a B17 in that scale, is going to have bits and pieces all over it which are just going to get knocked off and everything else. So I can't really see the point of going along and spending 250 quid, then probably another 100 quid on extras for it to get it up to speed, to have something that is going to be the bane of my life, because I'll be moving it around permanently and everything else, because really the only place it can live in my house will be in here, on this said desk. But that means every time I film I've got to move it, every time I've got to do an airbrushing, I've got to move it out of the way, and everything else like that. So no, I am probably not going to build it. Don't get me wrong, it looks a fantastic kit, and if you've got room for it, I'm sure you'll have a fantastic build for it. But personally, for me, I'm probably not going to. Yeah, I've built the 148 Tamiya one, that was a nightmare, but you know, that's a big old kit. I can imagine doing, you know, the HK 32nd Lancaster is going to be absolutely massive. The B-17, beautiful aircraft and everything else. You know, I think the guys were right when we were talking on Sunday. If you had a couple of nice little L brackets, you could hang it on your wall, you know, and have it against the wall, and then you could turn it round, and so the underside, because really that is the only place you're actually going to be able to put it, okay? But from my point of view, and it is personal choice, I could build it for you guys, but then what do I do with it afterwards? And obviously we're not talking peanuts here. As you all know, I buy my kits. You know, I'm not one of these magazine types that get given all these things and just help yourself fill and everything else. I pay for it, so it'd be 350 quid, I think, by the time you've done it all. If you're doing it in metal, that means it's going to be alclad or bufferable, so that's going to be another 20 quid on those alone just to paint that thing. Okay, and in alclad, God knows, probably more like 100 quid to do it. It's a big old kit, and I can't justify spending that amount of money on it when I could, for the same money, build 3 other very nice 48 kits with everything on, okay, in that same scale. That said, I also had a question this week, which I haven't written down, but I've just remembered it. Somebody said, are you going to be building Airfix's new Lancaster? I will be. I don't know about doing the B2. I like the ones with the Merlin engines. You know, this is the old one with the round engines. The Mark II's got the round engines on it. And obviously the Mark III's have the Merlins with the nicer engines on it. I think the Mark III Lancaster is particularly nice. I will be doing it. I'm going to be doing the B17, probably be the Revel in 72, and I'll be doing maybe the Airfixes or Revels or even Hasegawa's Mark III Lancaster as well. So I will be doing those in the autumn as part of a little series I'll be doing on heavy bombers and things like that. Okay, so that's about it for this week. Couple of things you can probably see in the background. Steve Sutcliffe, who was down here last week, he left me these kits to review. So what we've got down here is the Mark 23 MTVR cargo truck. It's the Trumpeter 1/35 scale, so I'll be reviewing that this week. We've got the Meng T90 tank as well, main battle tank, the Russian one. Looks a cracking kit, that one. Okay, and then we've got the Meng here. This is the pickup truck with the I don't know, was it ZU-23 cannon on the back? Yeah, ZU-23-2 cannon on the back of it. Again, looks fantastic. Also, I'll be reviewing something a little bit different. This is a limited edition. This is the DEF model. This is the conversion kit which goes up with it, so it's got the plough on the front and everything else. Fantastic bit of resin kit to that one, so I'll be reviewing that one as well. So next week we'll have loads of reviews up for you, plus there's a couple of kits I've got coming in as well. If they're in early part of next week, I will get them edited up to you as well. Okay, so that's it for this week. Thanks for watching and everything else. Now below here, if you haven't seen it, is the Mustang SIG reveal video. Absolutely fantastic work throughout, everybody. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Dougie Hunter, for actually being the monitor on this one and going through and making sure everything's okay with it. Great job with that one all the way in. Enjoy the video. You can't watch it on YouTube or on here because it is below and it is on our server, but it is free to watch. So until next week, everybody, happy modelling and take care.